So with the new expansion arriving to Hearthstone, I decided it's time for some new sheets. I need some new sheets, and well, Nova's kind of claimed them as her own. Yes, Nova, you love the new sheets, but I need to set them up. Can you let me set them up? No? You're just gonna sit there and take my sheets? All right. I guess, you know, you put up with a lot with scabs and all that. You can have the sheets. I'll leave it be. Let's get to this week in Hearthstone.
Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, and welcome to the 51st edition of This Week in Hearthstone. Make sure to tune in next week. We're going to do our year-end review, week 52. We're going to do a year-end review. But this week, we're going over some stories. We had the United and Stormwind expansion. So our top story is Iksar's response to, well, the control issue in Hearthstone. It's created a lot of controversy, a lot of, anger amongst a lot of people in the community. So we'll talk about that and my take on that as well as the Talk of the Tavern segment, where I highlight a content creator that I feel you should check out, as well as the Mailbag segment where I answer your questions. So first, the big story, I keep getting asked about this literally every day on stream, mainly because it's my AMA question from this week's AMA. Iksar does an AMA every single week, pretty much, except for when he's always taking a vacation. How dare he do that? Where he'll answer questions about Hearthstone, anime, whatever. It's a really good time. It's really awesome that he's this open. But I asked a question, and his response has been very divisive. So the question I asked to him was, you've said before you want control to be a viable strategy, but with the introduction of infinite non-fatigue damage of both Ignite for Mage, the Warlock questline, we have all the turn 6-7 OTKs, the Priest questline, etc. How are control strategies realistically supposed to work? And Iksar responded with this initial response of, I think that style of deck, or I think the style of deck that is less fun than any other style of deck, that is this deck that slowly grinds away all your resources as a win condition, no way of actually dealing damage to you. Control deck should have ways to close out games outside of relying on decks to empty. And this response has created, I've saw it posted on Reddit, because he responded to me. I'm seeing all these mentions of people just going after him, saying that you hate control and all this stuff, and there is no control in the game right now, pretty much, outside of like Control Priest, which is like 40%, 44% win rate. It's pretty rough, but I want to go into more of his response. It's not just that, he has more of a response than that. He also says, so in terms of having decks like Mage and Warlock that are unfazed by deck depletion, I don't see that as a blocker for control decks existing. The thing that blocks control decks in an unappealing way are combo decks that complete their combo so early and consistently that a control deck is unlikely to ever close out a game with threats before the combo closes out their own strategy. We're probably in that space now, mostly as a population thing. There are a wide variety of combo decks that can close early right now. Part of it is players playing bad decks at a high rate because combo decks are fun to play. Part of it is balance. And I think he goes on to say that they're going to look into a balance patch. We talked about this already on Tuesday. So what Iksar is saying, and a lot of people seem to miss this point, is he doesn't hate control. He hates, or I'm not going to say hate, but they don't like the fatigue control style, where you literally just fatigue your opponent to death. You have no real win condition. It's like old Odd Warrior, right? Like old Odd Warrior, you'd hit the button, you'd remove everything, and that was it. You had no real win condition. And I'm going to agree with Iksar on this. I think those decks are typically not that fun to face. And personally, I didn't find them super fun to play. However, I don't think that means an archetype shouldn't be in the game or shouldn't exist because I don't like it or he doesn't like it. I feel like there's a lot of players that hate aggro decks. Should they not be in the game? No, they should be in the game. So I get that they don't like it and they don't really want it in the game, but at the same time, it kind of sucks for those players that do enjoy this strategy. But the thing here that Iksar is talking about in terms of how they want control decks to thrive is to have an actual win condition. To say, like old school Control Warrior used to, it wasn't just remove everything and you would win. You would have Alexstrasza, you play like Grom, Cruel Taskmaster, and kill your opponent. Even classic Hearthstone, you play classic, Control Warrior has a win con. It doesn't just fatigue your opponent. The only really successful like warrior deck or control deck that was like tier 1 that fatigued your opponent was like Dr. Boom Control Warrior with Elysiana, but it's still usually like, believe me, I rank 1 legend with that deck. I'd say like 19 out of 20 games, I would kill my opponent with minions, with rush mechs, with what I generated off boom. It was rarely ever just fatigue damage. But a deck like Odd Warrior, yeah, that could just literally be fatigue. Like, they just have no resources left. You're going to click the button, they're going to die. And I actually never really liked Odd Warrior. I was not a big fan. So what he's saying is they want control decks to have actual win cons, and I guess control priests, I guess the priest quest line might be their idea of a control deck, although I don't know if that really constitute. I guess it's very late game, you have to play Tim and a card to win the game. I guess that's a win con. But my issue with what he's saying here is we don't have win conditions for control decks right now. There really isn't much. I mentioned the priest quest line, but like, what is Warrior going to do? Is Rattlegore their win condition? Is Sourfang a win condition? It's not powerful enough compared to all the other stuff he can do in the game. So if he does want control decks to actually thrive, they need real good win conditions, and those don't really exist in the game. You have like N'Zoth, you have Cthulhu, but they're not enough. Compared to the power level of what you can do in the early game with all these other decks, it's just not enough. And of course, he mentions the combo thing, which is absolutely out of control, and I do expect it to get hit. I believe they will address this like super hyper combo thing, even if the decks are bad, as he likes to say. But I mean, I guess at higher ranks, Quest Mage isn't like destroying, but it's still one of these infuriating decks. Same with Quest Warlock, same with the Bleeds Rogue, all this stuff. I feel like it needs to be addressed. Same with I mentioned already in the nerf video, all that stuff with Iksar. We've already talked about that, but at the same time, I don't think Iksar hates control. I feel like people are hating on him way too much for this. I don't like seeing like devs getting griefed at all, period, on Twitter. Being openly communicative, even if you disagree with a take, be respectful and all that. So if you are upset about this tweet, don't go over there and harass them or anything like that. I read some of the stuff that people say, and it just sucks, because I feel like it's misinterpreted to an extent. I just feel like control needs better win conditions if they want to hit this criteria. And right now, I feel like they don't. I feel like the win conditions aren't there, whereas every like mid-range aggro tempo combo deck have insane win conditions where control's kind of left in the left out of that somewhat right now. So do I think Blizzard hates control? Do I think Iksar hates control? No, but I do think it needs a lot of help, and right now I just don't see it being there. Next, we have the Talk of the Tavern segment, where I highlight a Hearthstone content creator I feel you guys should check out, and this week we're going to talk about Dragon Rider. She has been streaming for almost 3.5 years, and she's pretty competitively focused. She does Twitch and YouTube. Both will be linked below if you want to check it out. Dragon Rider is very involved in the community. She's not quite yet partnered on Twitch or YouTube, so if you can check her out, that would help out a lot. But yeah, she does casting, she does all sorts of stuff, analysis. And recently, I think on her YouTube, she did a video covering like how to maximize the battle pass and all that stuff. Really awesome creator. I've been enjoying her. So recently discovered her last couple of weeks, and I definitely would recommend giving her a follow, helping out. And he's even been trying to help like in the female scene in terms of like getting esports going. She's like this founder and CEO of her own team. So really awesome to see someone so committed to growing the Hearthstone scene in both esports and the game itself. So check out Dragon Rider. I would really appreciate it. And lastly, we have the mailbag segment where I answer your questions. Again, if you want to ask me a question, leave a comment in the comments below with mailbag in the comment. So first we have Sasker asking, will we ever see Runeterra? So Legends of Runeterra content on this channel. I've been starting playing like a month ago, and to be honest, it's a blast. I would love to get to Legends of Runeterra. I don't know the new expansion. I'm very busy with everything going on, but on my Twitch, I'm planning on eventually, I've been saying this forever, doing a Variety Friday where I'll play like a different game other than Hearthstone, and Runeterra is probably #1 on my list. So when I do that, maybe I'll upload it to this channel. Maybe I'll finally upload to my bonus channel, which I've not yet got to. But yeah, I do want to check it out. The game looks sweet. And if you're looking for a content creator in the meantime, check out Saucy Mailman. He's awesome. I highly recommend him. Retsu asks, what archetype card are you most excited to play in this expansion? Any reason, world comparison? So this was asked before the expansion came out. We've been playing a bit, but what I was most excited about was the Quest Rogue deck with all the gizmos and stuff. And I'm glad the deck's playable. It's viable. If board-based decks get better, that deck will get a lot better. And it's a lot of fun. It's not like infinite value. It's just a lot of cool gizmos and tempo and a lot of stuff I like about Hearthstone. So Quest Rogue was what I was looking forward to the most, and I'm glad that it's not too bad at all. Milan Kuchera asks, can you ask in Iksar's weekly AMA if they can bring back the Hearthstone mulligans? This was like a video they would put on, I think, the HS Esports channel or Play Hearthstone, give tips and stuff. We watched them not so long ago. They're really fun. Never watched the AMAs. So this is, I would ask Iksar, but this isn't his department. This is like HS Esports. This is their content creation side of things. Iksar doesn't work on that, so he wouldn't be able to answer it. But what I can tell you is they've cut back a lot of that stuff. Rosty was the one who voiced them originally. He basically said they ditched him. He's actually a viewer of mine who comes in once in a while. And my sub sound that goes aggro decks or some of the hardest decks to play in Hearthstone is from one of the Hearthstone Mulligans videos. Fun fact. So I don't think they're going to come back. I don't think me asking Iksar would help. It would have to be like HS Esports thinking it's worth it. And I guess they just don't think it's worth it. The videos I thought were interesting. And, you know, we memed on the aggro one. But yeah, I just can't ask Iksar because I don't think he can help with that at all. And Daniel Bonev asks, if you have a possibility to change something or add something into Hearthstone, what would it be and why? Actually, Solemn asked this very question last night on Twitter, and I responded to it simply with this. I'd love to see turn 7 through 10 come back to Hearthstone. And Xena asks, how do you feel about the idea of a diamond scabs, Nova? How do you feel about that? Yeah, I don't think she's a fan. So there you have it. That's this week in Hearthstone. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends. I'm gonna have to go talk to Nova about that.